Here we go. Ravens are back. Happy Friday. Good morning, guys. Ravens are, they're always easy to root for because it feels like every year they at least try their best to figure out what to improve on from the year before. Sometimes it's even at the trade deadline. How do we get over the hump? So this is the year it feels like, man, it's 7 years now for Lamar. Derrick Henry, he's going to have a great year this year. How many more does he have? Roquan's peaking. They got to pay people. So it really doesn't feel like this is the last year, but it does feel like the window of opportunity, especially in the NFL, can close super quick. So the team looks great coming out of the first preseason game. Starters play limited. But the things that we're looking for, you can't be anything but happy, right? Keaton Mitchell looks great, so he's going to make the roster, and Ali's going to make the roster. I would be shocked if he doesn't after that, what was it, 67-yard kick return, plus he ran the ball really well. I think you keep all four running backs. Justice Hill obviously is going to make the team. He does have a history of being injured. But if this season goes the way we think it can go, Derrick Henry can just maybe glide through the regular season, especially early in the season, save the legs for later. And I mean, this offensive line's punching people around. It was the first preseason game, I get it, but definitely exciting. And then Lejante Wester, which I was surprised he even lasted as long as he did in the draft because I hate watched Colorado a lot last year and it felt like he was always open. So didn't do any advanced scouting on him, but felt like he was always open. Didn't know he was going to be such a good punt returner. That was awesome. Great punt return. And he makes a great catch down the sideline. Impossible to think he doesn't make the team. And then the kicker, Tyler Loop. Glad you missed the first one. Get it out of the way because you put extra pressure on the second kick, 52-yarder to, I don't say put the game away, but, in his mind, it's putting the game away. 4.5 minutes left, go up by 8. Doesn't matter if it's a preseason game. That's a lot of pressure to make that kick. 52 yards. It was beautiful. Plus, he tackled that crap out of the guy on one of the kickoffs. So that was fun. Tyler Loop, no more Justin Tucker, makes it a lot better, a lot easier to root for the Ravens. And let's see, Malachi Starks made a nice form tackle right on Tyler Warren on a second and long, I think, for like 6 yards. And there was a handful of other things that the one interception that Leonard threw at the end of the game was, I feel like I could have made that catch. It was a wild throw, but anyway, Higgins still had to make the catch, and he's had a really nice camp, so that was cool for him to make the interception there. Dun, 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 dun. I think that's my. I want to get to my overall take on the Ravens because, like I say, it is the first preseason game, so you can only take so much from it. But it's the running back situation that makes you the most optimistic. If you've been following the Ravens, since the Lamar era, it feels like you can almost plug anybody in there, from the Mark Ingram days to the Gus Edwards and Dobbins, and then it feels like Justice Hill, Keith Mitchell. Then Derrick Henry took it to another level last year. But when you have all kinds of running backs in there and you can put two of them in at the same time, plus you got Flowers running around who can act almost as a running back with a lot of pitch plays and screens. No one's going to stop this Ravens offense with Linderbaum in the center playing. For his contract, he's probably going to have even a better year than he did last year as he's peaking. If you look at the roster, a lot of these guys should be peaking, playing their best football. So it's nothing but good news for the Ravens. Hopefully they stay healthy. And, I think when I go to the defensive, so I want to go to the defensive side, especially the front seven, because they signed John Jenkins about a month or so ago, and then they just signed Urban back. Feels like he's been in and out of this team forever. So he's back to fortify the defensive line. But it was Aeneas Peebles, the rookie yesterday, who just flashed, and they need depth at the defensive line because Travis Jones is going to be the starter as the big tackle there. They got Broderick Washington next to him, and obviously we got Madubuike. But it felt like, especially in the Bills game last year, and it felt this way the year before in the AFC Championship with Pacheco and the Chiefs, where I didn't love the way we stopped the run. It felt too easy for teams to get 4 or 5 yards. And the way the NFL works, these elite quarterbacks, if it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, it's almost impossible, to stop them. The only way to stop these quarterbacks is you got to get them in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and then send the complex blitzes and hope you get them that way. But once Josh and Patrick and Burrow are operating in third and four, third and five, it's really, really difficult. So the Ravens got to do a better job of winning first down and stopping the run. And I believe they got some reinforcements there, especially with people. So I'm excited about that. I think the rest of the defense, Ajabo, it looks like he almost, I don't know how, whatchamacallit, Richardson broke his pinky. It looked like he broke his head, broke his shoulders, broke everything because Ajabo just, pile drived him right into the ground, knocked him, didn't see him coming. Richardson apparently breaks his pinky. So Ajabo flashing on the outside is a blessing. I don't know if they're going to sign somebody at the very end. There's a couple guys floating around, but they got they got Owe, and they got Tavius Robinson, and they got obviously Roquan in the middle, and they send a lot of different combinations of blitzes with their safeties. So I don't necessarily think they need to add somebody, but if you're gonna nitpick, and obviously they got Van Noy, who seems like he just gets better every year somehow as he gets older. If you're gonna nitpick, you could say they might want to add somebody, but they also had the rookie from last year, Isaac from Penn State, who could flash. So to me, they're really not missing anything. I want them to fortify the run defense. I think the run defense will be even better this year. As far as the pass rush is concerned, I like I said, you could add somebody if you really want to, but the coverage in the back end is going to be great. And I think Madubuike is going to have a better year than he did last year. It was a little bit down as far as numbers were concerned. Maybe he got a lot of attention, and then this year he'll get freed up a little bit as they have other guys you have to account for. But the secondary is where you get most excited. Obviously, Ardarius getting hurt in the preseason, or not even the preseason, the spring was devastating for him. Most likely he comes back at the end of the year, but DaCosta drafts Malachi Starks, and by all accounts, this guy's going to be great. So he can plug right in and do the same thing that Ardarius was doing last year, which made the team so much better, which was allow the safety that, frankly, Marcus Williams couldn't handle the responsibility of being the deep safety and handling, the roaming around and reading the coverage. And so Kyle Hamilton can just be a freak, can do whatever Kyle Hamilton does that makes him essentially a one-of-one player. So Malachi fits in there. All great stories coming in from camp. And then Wiggins seems like a monster. It just feels great when you look at what the Ravens did with their secondary, because last year it felt like Stevens, first Marcus Williams was the weakness. They find a way to essentially just get rid of him, put him on the bench until they finally got rid of him. Ardarius takes the spot. And Stevens last year just really wasn't good. Not to be, be mean about it, but he just really wasn't very good. I'm surprised the Jets paid him what they paid him. And Humphrey was really good. So they just picked on Stevens all year long. Felt like he had a hard time on those jump balls, the turnaround, maybe some of it was bad luck, but regardless, he just wasn't great. And now he's gone, but you bring in Jair. So that's got to be an upgrade. Plus Wiggins gets better. You're really hard pressed to find weaknesses on the Ravens team. Really tough injury yesterday for Cohen, the safety. So that was, maybe they signed one more guy to fortify the back end if they want before Ardarius comes back. But I do love the Ravens this year. And the past couple of years, I was hesitant on them, especially just it felt like I didn't know what the vibe was. And I was really wrong. The regular season, they outperformed what I thought they would do. And then the postseason, it felt like I was vindicated because I didn't really trust the energy behind it, the leadership. It felt like maybe Lamar was still a little immature. Going into this season, I feel great. I feel like Derrick Henry is going to be amazing, and the run offense is going to be amazing. And I don't think there's anything that can stop the Ravens in the regular season, and then we'll see what happens when we get to the postseason. But thought last year was a little harder to enjoy the regular season coming off that Chiefs loss. And I don't know, I feel a little rejuvenated. The Bills loss, it stings a little, but maybe it's because it's the round before. And ultimately, I don't know, such a depressing loss. You kind of it was one of those things where I processed it and just got over it after a couple of days because I can't just keep being mad at Mark Andrews. Like, it was so black and white what happened in that game that, my attention basically went to Mike Elias and the Orioles, and that has turned out to be a disaster. So let's pivot to that before I get out of here. And then I got one other thing. So Orioles, have decided to raise ticket prices. That's great. I don't have time to kick people when they're down, but it's just a disaster. I tried to give it 1 week. I think I came on here last week. I was like, you know what? Maybe they'll just beat the Cubs and the Phillies, win 5 out of 6. Yeah. So Trevor Rogers is good. We got that going for us. And whatchamacallit, the Red Sox paid their star player, what's it, Roman Anthony, 130, which was 20 million more than the Diamondbacks paid Carroll, and is about 130 million more than the Orioles have paid Gunner. So that's great. Have no idea where the Orioles are headed, except just pure misery for the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks, as people try their best to get excited about Beavers and Basayo, who will be up here, I guess, in 10 days, so we can manipulate service time, which I guess is the smart thing to do when you have no chance to make the playoffs. So, nothing positive. Let's just finish with this. Got some one piece of betting advice before I think next week or the week after, probably the week after, because I really don't want to make any predictions until we get through all the injuries. And the Chargers proved that yesterday. If there's a bet that you want to make, I would advise it now. Barring any injuries from the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs beat the Chargers. -2.5 is what you can get it at in the first week of the season, because the Chargers lost their left tackle yesterday, Rashawn Slater. Kind of crazy. They just paid him $92 million guaranteed, 113 total, 4 years, largest contract, and then just out for the season, torn patellar, whatever. Sometimes life doesn't make any sense, and that's a crazy one to get paid like that and then be gone. So I don't know how the Chargers recover. There's a couple of injuries each team really just can't afford to lose based on the identity of the team. Obviously, the quarterback is going to be the number one guy for most teams. And then if you look at the roster, who's like that second, third, fourth guy where it's like you can't really lose them? I think for the Ravens, it starts with Kyle Hamilton. Not to say that Roquan's replaceable, but I think he's more replaceable than Kyle Hamilton. So I would probably have, after Lamar, it's probably Kyle Hamilton, then Derrick Henry. Those two guys would be, I mean, Flowers is really hard to replace considering what the depth and the other talent is at wide receiver. And, for the Chargers, it's got to be the left tackle. They built the whole team on protecting Herbert and doing smash mouth football. They draft the running back, and now they lose Slater. So they drafted Alt last year. They converted him to right tackle. They most likely move him to left tackle. It just complicates things. It's very depressing. It's a really tough loss for a Chargers team that is predicated on winning close games. Getting it, like I said, they're the team more than almost any other team with Herbert where he really needs 3rd and 5. He gets him 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, especially in that the Greg Roman offense. I don't know. McConkey's great, the receiver, but I'm looking at I think I saw -2.5 this morning. Double checking it. Yeah, -2.5. If you have it at 3, you can always buy half a point. But if you're inclined to bet on that game, that's the Friday night game of opening week. It's the Cowboys Eagles is Thursday night, and then the Chargers Chiefs is the Friday night game. It's in Los Angeles, but that's basically a Chiefs home game. Probably 70% of the crowd will be Chiefs. Chargers have no fans. Not to be funny, they just don't have any fans. Like no one is a Los Angeles Chargers fan in comparison to the rest of the league. So every game there is essentially a home game for the other team, especially a team like the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are going to be awesome this year. How awesome? I don't know if they win 12 games or 15 games, but they're going to be really good in the regular season. They're going to play with a chip on their shoulder. And it just, to me, feels like easy money to take the Chiefs in that first week. The Chargers won't be dynamic enough on offense to keep up with Kansas City. And yeah, so, all right. That's what I got. I shall be on here relatively soon. College football. I want to do a whole college football thing. And then, like I said, about 2 weeks from now, we'll do NFL preview and yeah, go from there. So if you need anything, have any questions, want to talk about anything, I am here. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you soon.